Hey, what's up, everybody? Chad Calek here, and welcome back to the In a Crowded Room podcast for episode number 124, which is going to be another Q&A episode as you guys flooded me with all kinds of questions, specifically about SIR NOFACE, Two-Face, and Phantom Rider. So I want to make sure I answer all of those questions first, and then we'll get into what I like to call my unusual questions, or the unique questions, the ones that I don't get a lot of repeat requests for. So I'm hopefully kind of covering the whole slate here of what you guys want to know. Having said that, let's jump right into it. Question number one, do I ever wonder if Skyfall is actually still working as a disinformation agent and if he's just using me? Of course, I've asked myself this question thousands of times, but I have come to a place where, and maybe just a gut feeling mixed with the fact that he's never insisted that I do anything, I've just come to a place where I do believe he is who he says he is. And a lot of that comes from the fact that for every one thing that I've shared with you, there's probably three things that I haven't put out there, just because a lot of the information I'm uncomfortable with. Certain things about certain people, I'm not going to be that guy. You know, I'm not trying to get anybody to come knocking on my door, and I've already had enough weird things happen. And he's never once been, hey, how come you shared this, but you didn't share this? You know, he's never been insistent upon, that I share anything. And he's also been very upfront with the fact that he's also giving information to other people, too. It's not like he just chose me. He said he chose me because he felt like I was an honest guy and that I presented information in an honest way and that my subscribers would trust me and would believe me, with the information that he's given me. Now, that's obviously up to you guys, whether you trust or believe the info, but, I've made it clear that I'm going to make sure that I present these his predictions as his predictions, not mine. And he's always been fine with that. And, listen, he's been correct with his predictions like 99% of the time. And even with, Trump not winning the second term, Skyfall says Trump basically, got beside himself and no longer wanted to play ball with the plan. And that's why he got pushed to the side. Now, could I see that happening? Sure, I could. And I'll tell you this was really interesting, too. Trump takes all kinds of pride in Space Force. Have you guys noticed that? His first message back after this whole debacle that just happened, when he was listing the things that he did that everybody should be proud of, he once again listed the Space Force with great pride. And that's interesting because we've seen nothing from the Space Force as far as the public goes other than him saying there's a Space Force, right? But yet it's one of the top things. He talks about, I rebuilt our military, I did away with deregulation, we built the wall, and we built the Space Force, and it was something nobody could forever see happening right now. And it's as me as a part of the public, I'm kind of like, well, I haven't seen anything from the Space Force. Nobody has. But clearly, Trump has. So I have more of a tendency to believe Skyfall when he says Trump was in line to drop all this information, but the info that he was going to announce and release got kicked over to our ally in Israel to release, and Trump basically got sidelined as they refigured out how they move forward. Now, I know all this stuff is big conceptual stuff that's hard to swallow, but it's, it makes sense to me. And when I say it makes sense in the sense that I could see it happening is what I'm saying. Like, if we don't have someone like Trump to deliver this message for America, who would deliver it? Tom DeLong? We've already done that. The public kind of giggled when Tom DeLong delivered information. So have another country like Israel deliver that information. There are aliens, they do exist, they're working with us, they're here right now. All the stuff that supposedly Trump was supposed to deliver in his second term, now we have an 87-year-old Israeli official deliver it. It has more of a ring to it because it was an official, in an allied country. I'm getting long-winded here because this is a difficult question to answer as to why I would think that he's real and that he's not using me. And there's a lot of reasons, but I guess those are the main reasons. But I understand why you guys ask. It's an obvious question, and since the beginning I've been like, make sure this guy is who he is, And I also think if he wasn't who he was, he wouldn't have invited me to finally come meet him. And that's a big, really, really important one here. So, okay, next question. Do you think Skyfall and the tattooed-faced man are one and the same person? I know why you asked this. I totally get it, because when we met the tattooed-faced man, we were where? In Townsville. And oddly enough, Skyfall said he wanted to meet me in Townsville. Believe it or not, I don't think they're one and the same person. I just don't. I think if they were, I think he would have told me. I've asked him about the tattooed-faced man. I know the tattooed-faced man's real name. I know his address. I have a phone number for him. There's a lot of stuff you guys don't know. This is an ongoing investigation, right? But I will say there is something I think I don't know yet, and I'm working on right now. God, should I say this? That's weird. My phone just... That's so weird. My phone alarm just went off, but why would I have an alarm set for 4:25 p.m.? That's super strange. Anyways, don't read... See, weird stuff, guys. Don't read anything into it. I'm trying to tell myself now, don't read anything into it, right as I was talking about that. Anyways, I'm trying to decide if I should say this or not. I'll just say it, because maybe you guys could even help me with it. Who knows? I do think there's something strange about Townsville. And there's a lot of people from Townsville that have had issues with coming across information that they shouldn't. Oddly enough, you know where Julian Assange is from? Townsville, Australia. I mean, it's just kind of weird that, Assange is from there. The tattooed-faced man is from there. Skyfall wants me to meet over there. And then you have Pine Gap, right? Which is supposedly the CIA top secret, UFO Space Force base that's over there that tracks everything around the world, but is supposedly, according to Dr. Greer, where they're constructing these little, bio drones that look like grays, which could potentially be what SIR NOFACE is. So I don't know. There's something about Townsville that I have not discovered yet. I feel it's a gut feeling, and I just started really looking into it. But yeah, super strange. But I don't think that Skyfall and the tattooed-faced man are one and the same. I do not believe that they're the same person. No. But it's a great question. Okay, next question. Could Skyfall have done a public records search to discover your middle name? Sure. Michael, not David. David does not appear anywhere in my records. A lot of families do this. It's a traditional thing. Well, you will have four names. Like in my case, it's Charles, Michael, David, Calek. But the David is internally known. It's just a soft name. It's not. It doesn't appear on any of my records at all. It's a family name. So it just doesn't appear anywhere. He could search all day long. He's not going to find David in my name. Even Chad is a unique nickname for Charles. Usually short for Charles is Chaz. But the reason that my name is Chad, funny story here, my father was in the service, as you guys know, and he was flying all over Europe, fixing airplanes and working on jets and all this stuff. And when I was born, my mother named me after her biological father, his name was Swan Charles. My dad did not like the name Swan. He liked the name Chad. So he just started calling me Chad once he got back in the States around me, and Chad just stuck. But Michael is the middle name that appears on all my legal documents, not David. Doesn't appear anywhere. I don't know how Skyfall could have gotten that. I don't know how he could have guessed it. I've looked at every angle known to man, guys. I don't know. Okay, next question. Do I think Skyfall is associated with Tom DeLong or Dr. Stephen Greer? I've mentioned this before, but I do not believe he is associated with Tom DeLong. Skyfall seems almost anti-military, and everything DeLong is doing is 100% military. They view UFOs as threats. It's all about threat interception. Skyfall's just not on that page. Skyfall could be associated with Dr. Stephen Greer. He seems more on his page, especially when it comes to the whole unacknowledged group thing. He's saying he was a part of one. And if he was a part of one, Greer is really big on that, and Greer just is really big on the peace side of things. And Skyfall seems to fully believe that, extraterrestrials are not an imminent threat to us unless we become an imminent threat to them. So there's a possibility that he could be associated with Stephen Greer and somebody from his team, but I do not have confirmation of that in any way. And by the way, I mentioned a while ago that I was going to try CE5. I did try CE5 out here on the beach at my place. I hate to say it, I was utterly unsuccessful. Nothing happened. I spent about 3 hours out on the beach trying the method. I didn't see anything. I realized just doing it once doesn't mean that you will or you won't see anything, but I saw nothing but planes flying into LAX. So, but who knows? I will try again at some point. We'll see. Maybe CE5 will work for me, but it has not to this point. Okay, moving on. What do you think happened to Craig when he woke up down the street? Do you think he was abducted by aliens? No, I do not. I don't think even Craig does. Honestly, Craig's being visited by somebody, right? And I believe that because I believe Craig. As hard as that is to believe, I believe Craig, and I've seen the photos. I've talked to his son, his wife. I think whoever is watching him was trying to further demonstrate their abilities. I remember Craig's sitting on all kinds of footage that he's made copies of, and multiple people have it. It's hidden all over the place. I think, to be completely honest, if there is a threat level here, Craig is in... I hate even talking about this. Craig's in a scary place. And I think his risk factor is much greater than mine. And I think who was ever visiting him, I think they gave him a demonstration of what they can do. And clearly it was effective. Which leads me to the next question, which is, are bizarre events still happening to you and Craig? Yes, they are. But I can say on my end, it seems to be in direct relation to how hard I push on this investigation and how deep I want to go with it. And I've admittedly taken some time away to really focus on my father and kind of focus on my own, issues with losing him. And I think part of it is maybe it's just things for a while seemed like they slowed down for me, and maybe it's just because I just wasn't focusing on that type of stuff. But the second I turned my focus back into it, bizarre stuff started happening again, which we've been documenting it all. And you will see that in the final film of the series. Which brings me to the next question, which is, will there be a part 4 of the SIR NOFACE series? Yes, that is Paleface. I believe it will be the last to round out the series. We'll see how the story goes. As you guys know, we don't script anything. I let life take me where it takes me. And there is so much to this story that you guys don't know. There's a lot of things that I even kept out of Phantom Rider to save for Paleface, because it'll make more sense if I tell that segment of or reveal that segment of our life at the same time and tell that story and all those events together. But yes, there's some really strange occurrences that have happened, some incredible discoveries that we've made that are going to blow your mind. And when it comes time to go to Australia, I will let you all know. But there is one more chapter, obviously, left in the film, and we will be shooting Paleface. When exactly, I don't know, but I will let you guys know, obviously, when that time comes. Okay, next question. After introducing us to the tattooed-faced man, little follow-up information has been revealed. Can we expect more info on the tattooed-faced man in the final chapter? Yes, yes, and yes. There's a lot more information with him and his connections into Mexico, and that whole story is crazy. And I want to also thank the people who did the companion package that helped me research that, because there was a lot of incredible information. I mean, I know every single person that the tattooed face man met with during his travels to Mexico. I know each of their names. I know the location. I know everything. So there's a whole other story there, and that's part of the reason why I have held off the tattooed faced man story till now, because it's a very big story and it has to be told together. It can't really be told in pieces, so you can't expect that in Paleface. And there's a definite reason, and I think I'm 90% sure I know the full reason why the tattooed faced man sought me out now. But there's still many questions that need to be answered there. But yes, you will learn more about the tattooed faced man in Paleface. Okay, next question. Have there been any more shootings in my neighborhood? No, and thank God. We don't need any more of that, man. That was scary. I still to this day am choosing to believe that it had nothing to do with me. I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. But, of course, there's that part of me that says, or was I, And that's what really freaks me out. I don't know if you can hear this beeping or not, but they're doing construction outside of my building here. I'm trying to filter it out here, but if you hear some weird beeping and weird banging, that's what it is. So, which brings me to the last question about the SIR NOFACE docuseries, and then we'll get to the specific general questions you guys have about everything else. Look, it's a question that I suppose I should answer. I've avoided it to this point just because it's not been fun to talk about it. But a lot of you have wondered if I think that my father's passing had anything to do with any of this stuff that I'm investigating or Craig's investigating. Because it is true that my dad was fine, and then 6 months later he dies of what they have labeled malignant catatonia, which once you research that, basically it's failure of the brain, but they don't have any cause or purpose. They don't know why. Why did this happen at this time in his life? Why was it such a quick exit? Why were they unable to treat anything? There's a lot of open questions that are unanswered. But my answer to this is, without getting into it, any deeper than this, is no, I don't believe my dad's passing had anything to do with what we are doing. In fact, I'm certain of that. And my dad was very supportive of my work and the project and all of that. So I don't really want to go any further into it than that, if that's okay, guys. I'm still not at a place where I can talk about him with a lot of strength and maybe the courage I should have right now. It still hurts. So let's move on to the next questions. Sorry about that. I just still get choked up talking about Pops, man. I miss him every day, and yeah. So this next question is probably a good one to talk about since we just talked about him. Candace from Oklahoma says, "I learned about the passing of your father, and I wanted to thank you for being open about the fact that you suffered from depression. As someone who consistently battled with depression, I wondered if you are still struggling or if you've been able to overcome it. I also wanted to thank you for always being so open with us, as you're the most honest person that I follow online." Well, I appreciate that, Candace. I really didn't talk about any of it to try to be the most honest. I just honestly, you guys made me feel less alone hearing back from people. Have I overcame the depression? Yeah, in a lot of ways, yes. And part of overcoming it for me was just kind of accepting something that my dad told me a long time ago, which is that most things in life, time will heal. But there are some things that just hurt worse with time. And I've kind of accepted that the loss of my father is just going to hurt worse over time. I miss him. And there are things I didn't get to say. And there's times that we should have shared that we didn't get to have. And I guess what I've learned the most from that is I just have a different approach on life, man. Like, if there are people you care about and you have things to say to them that you haven't, just do not think that tomorrow will always come. They always have that opportunity. My advice would be to tell those people how you feel, man. Make sure they know. Even if it seems awkward or weird to call up somebody you've missed or haven't spoken to, like, take that chance. Take that opportunity. Let it be weird. Who cares? Just tell people how you feel and make sure they know you love them. And, make plans to do the things that you always wanted to do but haven't done. Tomorrow is not a day promised. It's not. And, it's also very human to lose track of that. And I think part of that was forgiving myself. Forgiving myself for not taking advantage of the times that I should have. That I'm a human being and I get caught up in goals and I get caught up in things I want to achieve and that search for success, you know what I mean? And a lot's been sacrificed to that. But I think part of that forgiveness is also paying forward the message, man. And the message is, don't make that mistake, like go out there and tell people, tell people if there's people that matter to you, let them know the things that you have to say. I guess that's the only advice I can give you. I don't have the depression in the sense that I was so depressed at some point I couldn't even get out of the bed, man. Everything just seemed dark. And I don't have that anymore. I am excited about the world and I'm excited about life and trying to get it started back up, thankfully my city's opening back up now, finally, after a year of being on lockdown. So, so that would be my advice. Just, there's people out there in the world that you love and you want to spend time with, do it now. Do it while you have the time. So, I hope that answers your question, Candace. Melanie from Staten Island wants to know if I ever considered doing response videos of paranormal evidence or videos that I believe are fake. I think you're talking about, there's response on the videos where it's like, yo, this is Chad, this is what I think of this video, and I watch it. I would love to do something like that. And yeah, I think if I get time, I will. That would probably be a cool series to show you guys one video that I think is authentic and why, and another video why I think it's fake and why. That would be pretty cool, right? If you guys think that's a cool idea, let me know in the comments. I would like to do that for sure. Okay, some different type questions. Bruce from Harlan, Iowa. That's just up the road from Persia, my friend. Says, I know you're a Conor McGregor fan. I just wanted to know what you thought about his loss to Poirier. I don't know Conor as a person, so it's not like I'm a fan of him. I mean, I'm a fan of no man, you know what I mean? But, I was a fan of the run that Conor made, you know what I mean? That was just really special to kind of see that many people just stomped out in a matter of seconds, I mean, whether it's, the Cowboy, his recent, destruction of Cowboy in 40 seconds, and obviously, his 13-second, win was incredible. Both battles with Diaz were amazing. I'm a huge Diaz fan. And again, when I say fan, I'm a fan of their fighting styles. So to see McGregor knocked out cold like that, it was rough, but predictable, right? There's something different about Conor, and I didn't get the pay-per-view. I watched it after the fact, but I watched the whole lead up to it. And look, he doesn't have the same fire he used to have. Anybody could say that. And I think they say he's made close to $500 million in the last 5 years. That'll do it. I mean, if I made $500 million, do I want to step in the ring and have somebody punch me in the face? Probably not. Probably wouldn't have the same type of fire back in the day to where, Conor was celebrating his $50,000 fight of the night victory. I don't care when anybody says that kind of wealth would rightfully so probably diminish your capacity to take beatings. That's a rough sport with a short window. And it's not like boxing where Floyd could go 50-0. Ain't nobody going 50-0 in MMA. I mean, just someone's always got your number, you know. I mean, even if you look at Khabib, he's 29-0, but if you go back and look at what they're counting at 29-0, I recently saw an article, something like only 8 of those fighters were like top 10, like in their promotion. So it's like a very small number of actual like big time contenders fought Khabib, you know, and so, and I think Khabib's incredible too. So, but as far as Conor goes, what do I think? I think we've probably seen our best days for Conor. And that's what happens when you take off a year to box Floyd and then another year to do nothing. Then you come back and get a short fight and then another year off again. And then you're fighting a guy who in Poirier, who's been fighting constantly, you know. So it is what it is. But it doesn't mean that Conor still isn't the funnest fight to watch. He's a great trash talker. And when he gets riled up, I love it. That's why I didn't enjoy this last one because he was, even with Cowboy, they were all buddy. They're all like nice guys. When two guys are going to fight, I want to see them at each other's throat, man. You know? I want to see them go at it. I want to see that trash being talked. So I'm not a big fan of the whole, I really respect him and he's a great fighter. It's like blah, blah, blah. You're going to get in the ring and try to kill this man. That's what's going to happen. So start acting like it. You know? So, but thank you for the question about something different. I really appreciate that. And this is kind of sticking with that. Mick from Seattle wants to know if I think the Paul brothers boxing events are a good or a bad thing for boxing. And do I have a prediction between Mayweather and Logan as well as Jake versus Ben Askren? Look, it's good if you're a kid and you watch and you're a fan of the Paul brothers. You know, if you're a fan of professional sports and professional athletes, am I excited to watch Mayweather and Logan Paul? No. Just no, because A, it's an exhibition. B, Logan's almost twice his size. And, you know, Floyd, these are money grabs, man. These are money grabs. So, no, I'm not excited about it. But, you know, I don't think it should be banned. I don't think it's people like, oh, it's a black mark on the sport. No, it's not. There's all levels of fighters who fight. You know, if you're interested, I mean, the good thing about the Pauls is they take it seriously. These dudes are ripped. They do real camps with real fighters. And Jake actually, you know, can crack. He can punch. But don't kid yourself. If you put, you know, Jake inside the ring against, you know, a real top 10 contender, they would beat him into submission. I mean, he'd be leaving in a stretcher, you know. But as it stands, yeah, Jake just knocked the one dude out, Nate Robinson. And it was one of the gnarliest knockouts I've ever seen. So there's, you know, there should be levels for fighting, right? Not everybody who fights is the best in the world. They're working on an NBA right now for like an over 50 league that's going to be coming out with older guys playing. Can they still play? If they can still play and compete and entertain, they should be able to. I didn't see it, but I know Mike Tyson recently fought Roy Jones. And from what I heard, it was watchable, you know, so that's good. I'm cool with that. Remember, man, you don't got to turn on the channel, you know. If you don't support it, don't watch it, don't buy it, you know. But if those guys can really draw, you know, 1 million, 2 million pay-per-views, that's great. Good for them. You know, knock yourself out. As far as Jake, but as far as predictions, Logan Mayweather, come on, of course Mayweather. Jake and Ben Askren, to be honest, probably Jake. Ben Askren's a wrestler. He's not a fighter. He doesn't throw punches, you know, and Jake actually can throw a punch. So, yeah, probably Jake. But do I care either way? 0. Okay, Ann from Toronto wants to know if I saw the Hawaii UFO footage and what I thought. I did see it. Incredible footage. What that was, I have no idea. The fact that it slammed into the water is incredible, and it came back out. It was seen by everybody. Just another example of what's going on in the world right now, man. Something is happening in the skies. Something's coming. I'm a firm believer of that right now. Something is coming. And, yeah, that was some pretty incredible footage. So, thank you for the question. Kimberly from Charlotte wants to know what was the best thing about being on Paranormal State and the worst thing. And which did I like making better, making documentaries or TV series? Okay, what is the best thing about Paranormal State? Well, look at its height from season 2 to like the beginning of season 4. What was really cool is Paranormal State, admittedly, in the beginning was like the most hated thing ever because it was so different. And Ryan will tell you that. I mean, it came out to crickets, man. Like, nobody knew what the hell was going on. But from our season 2 into like season 4, there was definitely a shift. And it became like the cool paranormal show. I mean, we were doing talk shows. We did Tyra Banks at that time. I mean, it just got to a place where the show was really popular. And there were fans everywhere. It got to the place where, we had to get security when we were filming because fans would start showing up at the house that we were at. Like, just kind of being a part of seeing that kind of switch to like, what are these guys doing? What is this? It's so different to seeing it become something really appreciated. That was really, really cool, really rewarding. And just in general, man, the traveling and the camaraderie and the stuff that nobody sees, the late night hangouts and all the jokes that happen. I don't know if I've told you this story or not, but one of the funniest times ever that we had, it was just little things like this that pop in my head. Like we were filming somewhere on the East Coast, and then we had a flight right away, but it was like an overnight flight to the West Coast. And we stopped there. Whatever our airport was in between, we had like an hour and a half between our next flight. And it was like 3 a.m. And Ryan and I are walking to go to the bathroom. And we're like the only one in the entire airport, but there's like one guy behind us. And I can see him kind of trailing us, and he's getting closer and closer. And, I didn't think anything weird of him. I just noticed there's only one other guy in there. So we finally go in to use the bathroom. We're both using the bathroom, and suddenly we hear, I'm like, what? And I look over my shoulder as we're using the bathroom, and the guy's like, hey, man, I know it's kind of a weird time and place to say this, but big fan. I will never forget it, man. Ryan just goes, thanks, man. Can we talk to you once we finish? So we went out afterwards and we talked to him briefly and took pictures with him and everything. And, stuff like that. Little things like that are a lot of fun. So that was probably like, the best part about it, just the little memories. What was the worst part about it? Probably just the way it ended. Just the way it ended. Like I said, by the time it was all said and done, there was a lot of animosity, and part of it was, money issues and different people wanting more and people not feeling like they got enough. And, obviously Ryan had just started struggling with addiction at that time. And that, that was hard, obviously, on everybody. And I remember our last episode, when it was done, it was just kind of like, well, see you. I mean, and that was it. It felt like it should have been more, but it was just like, all right, pack it up. Later. It's like, whoa, didn't just like 6 years of our life end? What happened here, But I think at that point, everybody was so ready to go on that next path, too. It was calling us for sure. I know I was, definitely. And to answer the question of which do I like more, TV shows or movies? Definitely movies. Definitely movies. Because when you do a movie, you plot out like a month, or 2, however big your budget is, and you just go into a tunnel and you just make that, and then you're done. A television series, to do 6 to 8 episodes, it could take 8 months, of stop and go, hurry up and wait. And I don't like chunks of my time and being taken like that. I mean, the most valuable asset that any of us have, ladies and gentlemen, is our time. It's our time. If we can do a TV show where we just banged out 8 episodes in a row over the course of 2 months, a week an episode, that would be awesome. But it's not like that. You shoot 1 or 2, you wait 2 or 3 weeks or a week, you go back out, you shoot 1, something changes, and you got to go to a different place, and You got to hole up in a city for 3 or 4 days and then go do. We did that many times. We'd shoot somewhere and then, oh, this case fell out. So since you're already filming in Jersey, we're going to have you stay in Jersey for 2 days, and now you're going to Massachusetts, not Rhode Island, I mean, so it was just a lot of clusterfuckage going on, and that's not fun. So definitely films are the way for me. I mean, that's obviously the path I've chosen. So, but thank you for the question. Okay. April from Puerto Rico wants to know if I still get recognized when I go out in public, and if so, what are the pros and cons of fame? Well, I've already said this. I can't see myself as famous. I don't see myself as famous. And the world's weird today because, like I said before, I think I've answered this on one of these questions before. You can have fame on so many different levels today. For example, the people that I think that to me are famous, tons of other people might not even know them. If you're into the paranormal, you might know me. If you're not, you wouldn't. It's kind of like if you're into some niche genre of music. If you're into rap country, a guy in rock music would not even know who that artist was. But the web just makes it so accessible where anybody that has any kind of has an option, right? So it's hard for me to ever see myself as famous, but I am reminded every time I go out that there is a degree of it. Probably 2 weeks ago, I was out getting gas. That's all it was. I was coming home and I was getting gas. And while I was getting gas, someone walked up to me and they had seen American Ghost Hunter, of all things. And they just wanted to know how my family was and everything. And I just remember thinking, God, that's weird. That's so weird. Like, that film was shot almost 10 years ago. And this person had recently saw it, And recently, when I was back in Omaha doing our event, I stopped at the mall to get a bunch of clothes because it was freezing. I have never, ever in my life been recognized more and asked for more photos on that trip. It was wild. And it was everything. There were some people that had seen Paranormal State. A lot of people that had seen SIR NOFACE. That was a big one. And in that area, American Ghost Hunter, I always get stopped there just because it all took place there. So that probably had a lot to do with it. I was in my hometown area. So that's cool. Listen, I've always, anytime anybody respects what you do, it feels good, and I would say 99% of fans and supporters that have come up to me have always been incredibly kind and aware of whether or not I'm comfortable or not, which I always am. I'm a people person. I enjoy the fanfare, and I enjoy people, sharing that. That's the fuel, right? Like, I make films for people to see and enjoy. So if they're enjoying them and they want to tell me that, that's just fuel to the fire. So yeah, I mean, that feels really good. As far as the cons go, as I get older, there aren't really any cons in the sense that I just have a different focus on my life. When you're 18, 19, 20 years old and you're experiencing fame at some degree, you're going to take advantage of the partying aspects of it, the free stuff you could get, women, and just all the goodies, all the stuff that comes along with being someone recognized for what you do. But look, as a 40-year-old man, I mean, guys, I'm past all that. I had a lot of fun when I was younger, and not just with Paranormal State, with the different bands that I've been in and different other projects that I've done. I'm just at a different place right now in life. I really just want to be the best that I can be at my art. I've always protected that, and the better films I can make, the happier I am, and I just want to spend time with my friends, and and these days, like I said, when you get a little bit older, just everything changes in life in general when you get a little bit older, A 40-year-old man is more aware of how his actions affect people around him than a 20-year-old man is, right? So I just want to be, the best friend I could be to Laura and the best husband I can be, and all of those things, right? And if my job, provides me with extra opportunities that come along with fame, then great, But the cons aren't really there for me anymore, One of the cons when you're younger is that everybody in the world comes out of the woodwork like they're your friends. I remember when I first started doing Paranormal State, oh my God, like everybody that I even remotely known in my life was suddenly getting a hold of me like we were the best of friends. Right? We're hearing from people saying that they knew me and I've never met them. Like that was really weird. But again, that doesn't happen when you get older either. You're through that, right? I know who my friends are and I know who they're not. So overall, the fame thing's cool. I'm at a place in my life now where it's all positive. It's not really anything bad that I would, warn anybody off of. But I understand the question, so I thank you for asking. Okay, next question. Heidi and Jim want to know how would they go about getting their self-filmed series made into a network television series. Okay, Heidi and Jim, you say self-made or self-filmed series. If you've already filmed it yourself and it's your first series ever, my honest advice would be to put it on YouTube and let it do its numbers. Like, AdSense it, make your money off of it, but prove that it can work. Okay, prove that it can work. You can do it on Vimeo too. If that sample works, then hey, you're going to have people come to you that are going to want to put it on the air. But I would do that. But to be honest, remember, if it works for you, you might not want to because you'll make a ton off AdSense doing that too. And my point that I'm getting at is the industry is rapidly changing. And everything we just went through with the macaroni has changed everything even more. Everything is going independent. I can promise you all the days of big, huge cinema are over. There'll be a few projects a year that we see like that. Networks are rapidly changing into platforms. Everything's becoming independent because the money's there now to support. If you put, for example, an episode, like if you have a 6-episode series and you put that first episode on YouTube and it rips off like 30 million views, 20 million views, 10 million views, you're going to be making a ton of cash. Ton. And you'll be able to support, making as many episodes as you want as long as they all deliver those numbers. So that would be my honest advice today. If you have a project that's yours that's done. Now, if you haven't shot anything, it's just an idea. Look, the way to get there is the way hasn't changed really. Basically, you have to find an agency that believes in you enough that they will go pitch your idea to a network, and that network has to believe in it enough that they will give the agency enough money to go make it. That's the way it gets done. That's the way it's always been done. It's extremely difficult. 99.99% of all ideas get shot down, and 99.99% of all ideas get shot down by the agency before it ever gets to the network. So it's kind of like the, 1 in a million will get a chance type of thing. If you like those odds, knock yourself out. It's the truth. I hate when people ask me about, I don't hate it like you shouldn't have asked me. Thank you for asking me. But I don't like being the messenger because I feel like I'm the bearer of bad news for people once they learn how difficult it is to actually get a series on television. It's extremely, extremely hard. But it happens every day. If you got the goods and you're persistent, I think you can get it done, of course. So that's the answer. If you're going to make it yourself, you've already shot it, I'd put it out there and let it do what it's going to do. If it's just an idea, then you got to find an agent. You got to find a way for them to pitch it to the networks. That's how that works. Okay. Raina Dumil, great name. Raina Dumil from Boston wants to know if my research in the paranormal field has made me believe in life after death, and if so, do I have any fear of death anymore? It has made me believe in life after death, and yes, I still have fear of death. But my fear of death is more sadness. I'm not done here. I love being here. I love my friends here. I love the good times here. I have things left that I want to accomplish. I suppose if I accomplished everything that I wanted, maybe I would look at it differently. But that is, death scares me for that reason, is I don't want to leave early. I want to know that I did everything that I wanted to do in this lifetime. But that's a good question, heavy question. Karia from Las Vegas wants to know if I've had any more experiences in which my father has given me a sign that he was still watching over me. Not since Omaha, but that's okay. That's kind of in line with my dad. My dad is not the type of guy that would, give me that loving hug every single day and baby me, He let me know he's around. That's all I needed, and I'm good with that. So Thank you for asking. Jan from North Carolina says, are you Republican or a Democrat? I honestly can't figure out which way you lean politically. That's because I don't lean either way. I might not have loved Trump, but that doesn't mean I love Biden. That's for sure. I'm for the people and I'm for love, man. I'm for common sense. I'm probably financially conservative, socially liberal. But I don't know. I hate those terms anyways. I'm not blue or red. I have red blood, man, like all of us. So I'm just, it's kind of like religion, man. The only church I know is a church of love, dude. Love and compassion can figure out anything. Apply love and compassion to anything, and you can typically figure out what the right step is. So I'm neither. I just try to hear all sides out, and then also, just speak how I feel. So, and having said that, the last question of this episode comes from Rebecca from Denver, and she says, I love your music projects, but I'm surprised how different they are from each other. 35-inch Mutter is hardcore metal and funk, while your In a Crowded Room music is very folkish with a tinge of southern rock and country. I would have never guessed that either project would be for the same person. How do you explain the differences? Age. When I was 20 years old, I was a young man that was very angry with the world and had a lot of pent-up anger and frustration. And now that I'm in my 40s, I don't feel the same way. I look back with understanding. I have hindsight, right? I have hindsight. So, but music's music, man. It's just storytelling. It's another way of storytelling. My whole life is storytelling. I was writing on my book earlier today. Yesterday I was writing music. I edit every day, It's all storytelling, right? And some mediums are just better for others. If I'm going to write about something that I'm super angry and frustrated about and just want to, blow my freaking top over because I'm just so pissed off, that's what 35-inch Motor works well for that, But if I'm, writing a song about, being on tour and, missing my wife, that's going to be, that's the acoustic guitar. So just different stages in life. That's all it is. But I think you'd be surprised by how many musicians you listen to. At least that's one of the cool things I discovered when I started meeting a lot of my heroes in the music business. It's amazing how gifted they are at all genres of music. I remember listening to the first time we landed in LA on my first trip here. The Foo Fighters were warming up next to us. When you heard the songs they were warming up to, they were doing like a Tears for Fears cover, which sounds nothing like them. They're a punk band. It was just really cool to see how gifted they were in all kind of aspects of music. And I think most musicians are like that. Once you kind of grasp the craft of songwriting and musicianship, and you master a few instruments to the degree that you could write songs, you have fun writing everywhere. I remember the first time I played a reggae song, I was like, that is so cool. I haven't went out and recorded anything like that, but just the fact that I could figure out that style was so cool. Same thing with just standard blues or jazz or hip hop. I just enjoy music. So. But yeah, it's just age, just different times in life, I was an angry kid, and I'm a much less angry and more empathetic and understanding adult. So that's where you get the differences in the music. So lots of questions, guys. Thank you so much for your interest and your time and sending all those questions in. I hope that answers your questions. If you have any more questions, how this works is really simple, same as last time. You can email me directly at aghsoldiers@me.com. That's aghsoldiers@me.com. And I will just scour the comment boards for your questions as well. So please leave me your thoughts below in the comments. Leave me any future questions that you have in the comments. And if you have any thoughts about any of these answers or any more questions, please let me know. And usually about every 8th or 9th episode, we do a Q&A. So having said that, thank you all for listening to another episode of the In a Crowded Room podcast. I will be back tomorrow with more. All the best.